gems, welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, hi, my name is Crystal and I've been a nail tech for 4 years, and I also own a nail salon in New York City. And this video is gonna be the ultimate beginner nail tech guide and business tips. These are all tips that I wish I knew before I became a nail tech or a business owner. There are many tutorials out there on how to actually do nails, but I feel like there aren't that many business tips. Everybody just has their own way of running their business, so I just thought I would share this video and share my own tips to you guys. Now, starting off with foundations, I'm gonna keep this very short because this is all something that everyone should learn in nail school. Personally, when I went to nail school, I didn't really learn that many technical skills. I just learned more of disinfecting, sanitizing, safety precautions, and more in that route. So first, knowing the nail anatomy is very important. It's needed because when you talk to your clients, you need to kind of know what you're saying. Sanitization and hygiene, very important. I realized after opening my salon that this is not really a basic knowledge for everyone, and that is okay. It's just important to learn yourself eventually how to sanitize and clean up. And also in between clients, nobody wants to sit down in a chair where nothing is wiped down, polishes all over the desk. So having a proper routine for cleanliness, I think, is very important. Third thing is when not to do nails. Sometimes I know it's very hard and even I don't want to do it, but you need to refuse service. Sometimes there's like infections or fungus, and you just gotta tell them we can't perform services on your nails right now. Now we're gonna talk about speed. Speed is probably one of the most important things that you need to keep in mind when you're doing nails, especially if you are working on your own. Like you have your own studio, you have your own salon. We all need to make money, and that is why we're doing this, right? And throughout this video, I'm gonna explain and give you guys little tips and tricks to speed up your appointment process. Some technicians believe that, you know, they're taking their time and they're putting in all of their efforts into the nails, which is good. But you don't necessarily have to rush to the service and result in nails that you're not proud of by speeding up your process. It's more like valuing efficiency and taking out extra steps that you don't necessarily need and working on how to make your time more efficient. And it will also allow you to bring in more revenue. Nail prep is also very important because I think the #1 causes of lifting that I see is improper nail prep. Now, everyone has their own way of doing nail prep, and there is no right or wrong way. It's what's comfortable for you. I do have slightly different nail prep techniques for each client. For example, if a client has very tough skin, then I like to push back the cuticles first and then go in with my bits. But if another client doesn't have loose and dead skin, I don't necessarily have to push anything back. I do like to push back the cuticles with a pusher first, and then I go in with this flame bit. I go in both ways, but sometimes I do feel like that's not really necessary, so I skip doing it the other way. And then I go in with a thin barrel bit like this, and this further removes the dead skin around the cuticles, which makes sure that there is no lifting. And then I go in with my nippers, and when I first started nails, I had a lot of trouble with my nippers, I'm not gonna lie, but also this requires a lot of practice. I think that you should first practice on your own nails and make sure that you're not cutting yourself. But I would say that doing it on your own nails is a lot easier because you kind of feel before you cut and make yourself bleed. So maybe on your family members or your friends before you actually get onto a client. And the best way to successfully use your nippers without cutting and making people bleed is to make sure to successfully lift up the cuticles with your bits so that you see all of the dead skin that needs to be cut and you don't cut any fresh skin. I see a lot of great nail prep videos out there, so I'll link some down below, and hopefully that helps you guys with the nail prep process. One thing I have seen that beginner nail techs do is go on a very low RPM and keep going with their bits. Now, I understand that this might be a safer way, or it seems like a safer way, but it's actually easier to overfile that way, and it also takes so much more time than you actually need. This is the drill that I use. It's from Susie. I actually really like this one. So I interview a lot of nail techs at my salon, and another thing that I've seen that nail techs take so long on is the removal. I've seen a lot of beginner nail techs take an hour to an hour and a half doing removals, and I think it's because they're scared of over-filing the nails. Over the years of doing these removals, I've used a lot of removal bits. I think the best one that I have used is this one from Shiny. It does not heat up. Obviously, when you're going on the same place multiple times, it would start burning, but I think this one definitely does not heat up nearly as fast as other bits. It's a little more expensive, but even when you get closer to the nail beds, it doesn't strip off the nails, and somehow it just takes off just the gel. For Gel X removals, I like to debulk as much as possible before putting on the acetone, and this really speeds up the process. I've seen a lot of beginner nail techs on my salon just remove the top gel layer and then put on the acetone, but it would just take forever if you do so. I would say try to take off most of the top layer with a medium to coarse bit and then soak it off with acetone, and it's just gonna take so much of your time off of removals. Now I want to get onto the essential tools and setup of your station, and I want to introduce some of my personal tools that I use and I love. I own 2 brands of brushes. I really like the DIAMI brushes. It is a little pricier. Now if you want something a little more affordable, I would say Hwahong brushes are good beginner brushes. You can find them on tanjinail.com. The other brand of nail brushes I use is from CHAUN Legend. I actually recently got them and I love them. Investing in quality brushes is super important. I would not recommend like Amazon brushes. Personally, I just never had a good experience purchasing them. Another thing I cannot live without is my nipper from Shiny. Shiny has the best nippers. As long as you don't drop them on the ground or do anything rough with them, they do not go dull. I have been using these nippers for almost a year now and they're not dull. I always get these when I'm in Korea, or also my favorite nail website, ZILLABEAU, also has them. Now these are more expensive than regular nippers that you might be able to find on Amazon, but I love these so much. You need to get one of these. Now for bits, I did talk a little bit about my removal bits and my nail prep bits. For bits, mostly I get them from Amazon, especially the ones that I seal the cuticles with for Gel X applications. I don't really invest in expensive nail bits that much because I like to switch them out every so often. Probably the most expensive bit that I own is the removal bit. For airbrush, I just use this one that I got from Amazon. I actually stopped airbrushing as much because I started stamping. I feel like I just use less product with it. For stamping polishes, I've been using the Art Fit gels, and I got these from ZILLABEAU. Another stamping gel I really like is from Amy's Clients. She gifted me one and I also bought another one, and they're so good. She made such a nice product. I love it so much. Now I'm gonna get into products that I use. I think it's very important to invest in quality products. Some Amazon products are okay, but I think it's good to kind of try on yourself before you try on other people. I've used this one Amazon product before and I got such bad allergy from it, and I couldn't do nails for a while after I developed that allergy. Now I can, but it was just not a good experience. Whenever I go to Korea, I do meet with a lot of nail brands and I ask them, why do Koreans not develop an allergy and why is it not as common in Korea? And they tell me that a lot of Korean nail products are very high quality and they're non-toxic and mostly HEMA free. I think Japanese products are also very nice, but I do tend to go towards more Korean products. For nail prep, I use this tiny bonder or primer. At the salon, we use the Young Nails primer, which is really good. We also use the DGEL primer. Now for base gel, at the salon, we use the JINB Jelly base, and it looks something like this. I really like this gel. I've been using it for the entirety of my nail journey. It has very great retention, but if I were to choose between this one and the IZEMI Neo Base Gel, I would probably choose this one because I think this one has more of a self-leveling effect, but it's a little more expensive, so at the salon we use this one. I think this might have a slightly higher retention. Now for builder gel, we do use IZEMI's builder gel. I think IZEMI is such a good brand. Now for colors, like I said, I mainly use Korean gel. At the salon, we use mainly Gel Monster and DGEL. There's a lot of great nail products out there. There's a lot of great nail collections, but I do like how DGEL has so many colors. They have so many lines and they're always coming out with new collections. Now for Gel Monster, I do really like their gels and they are a little more affordable than other brands, so that's why I use those two brands. Other honorable mentions are Mayor, F-Gel, Clito, Tiny. Tiny has such great gels too. Now for fixed gels, there's two products that I mainly use. This one I use most of the time at my salon. This one is from JINB. It's the clear fixed gel. I really like this one because it's not difficult to take off, but it does last. If you have a gem that you're gonna cover, then I think this is the right one for you. And that's what we usually do at the salon. We don't really go around it, we just cover the top because most of our clients prefer that. They don't want anything sticking out or getting caught. Now, if you don't like to cover the top to preserve more shine on the rhinestones or whatever gem that you're putting on the nails, I really recommend this parts gel from MAKE.N. This one is so good and so strong. Do not put this on and cover the top with top coat because you're never gonna be able to take this off. And they also come with a cover gel where you cover the sides with it. These two together, they will not fall off. I think I do have a tutorial from a long time ago where I used these gels. Now for top coats, at the salon we use the Crazy Top from JINB. They have 3 different kinds of these crazy tops. They have the soft one, standard one, and thick one. As you can tell by the name, one is softer and thinner. This one is just a standard one, and then the thick one is thicker. This one we use for universal top coating, and then the soft one we don't really use. I like to use a soft one to kind of mix and water down certain gels, and that's basically it. And then for the thick one, we do use a lot of that at the salon, which is this one. And this one I like to use for 3D nail designs. It works really well, and I really like how the Crazy Top Thick you can use on top of after you top coat, and you don't have to top coat afterwards because it is a top coat itself. So you can really bring out that 3D without having to dye it down by top coating afterwards. For Gel X application, we always use the Feel So Good gel from DIAMI. Now this is really hard to get because they're always sold out, so I kind of want to gatekeep this, but this is just so good. Every single time we order, we get like 50 to 100 of these at the salon. It will make your Gel X last up to 6 weeks, which is crazy. I've used the Après one, I've used the F-Gel one. They're just not as good. I think this one is the best one. Now I think if you're a beginner nail tech, using any lamp works. I personally love using stronger lamps, and I've gone through a lot of lamps, but this is probably one of my favorite. This one is from DGEL. It's a little more pricey, but it just works so well. It looks something like this. You put your hands in here, but over here is a separate thumb curing section, which is insane. I've never seen a lamp that has anything like that. And another cool mode that they have is a whitening mode. So you know how the hands, it gets exposed to UV rays if you get your nails done a lot, but it has a whitening mode where you can reverse that. And it also comes with a whitening serum that you can use together, which I think is really cool, and I've been using it on my clients recently. Now I do say invest in high quality products, but I think the only thing that I would say you don't have to invest your money in is like nail charms and sequins, rhinestones, anything like that. Maybe if your clientele is a little luxurious and higher quality vibes, then maybe you should up your prices and use something a little more expensive. But for my personal opinion, I don't think you would need to invest too much money into it, especially if you're a beginner nail tech. But that being said, I think some high quality charms that I've seen is the MAKE.N charm, and we have some at the salon and we do charge extra for those. Now let's get on to the common mistakes that people make when they first start doing nails. Number 1 is lifting. Like I said, lifting has many causes, but the most common cause that I've seen is improper nail prep. Nails popping off is usually a combination of improper nail prep, not using the right products, not curing enough, or you're not making scratches to the nail surface, so the nail product doesn't have as much grip. Another common problem that I see is flooding the sides of the nails. That can happen to anyone depending on what product you use, regardless of skill. It might be a skill issue. Also at the same time, it can be just the product. So I would say instead of finishing all 5 nails and curing, just maybe do 1 or 2 depending on your speed and have the client cure while you're working on the other nails. Or if it's a base product that cures quickly, what I like to do is I like to do like 1 or 2 nails with the base, and I like to flash cure in between so that it does not move while the client is moving their hands. Another common mistake I've seen is over filing. I think this one, it just comes with practice. In order to get better at nails or anything in general, is to kind of step back and think about why these mistakes are happening. If it's a recurring mistake or if it's just a one-time thing, is it the client's issue? Is it the client's nail beds? What is the issue? And you really need to get to the bottom of this so that you can solve it. And I've seen some nail techs that I have interviewed that don't really identify the issue of why things happen, why they're getting fixes, and why clients are complaining. And that really stops you from going forward. So make sure you always humble yourself, step back, and think about why you're making these mistakes and why clients are complaining about whatever issues it is. I'm not going to go into details for application, but I will list down some good videos that you can watch. This is more of a practice makes perfect type of situation where you have to practice. Now, with that being said, let's talk about the business aspect. Now, if you guys don't know my whole nail journey, to make it short, I started out not even thinking that I would be doing nails. Straight out of COVID, I started making content about doing people's nails for free because I wanted to practice. I started going over to people's houses, which is kind of dangerous, do not recommend, and started doing their nails, documenting my whole journey. And I started renting out chairs at the salon. And then a few months later, I opened my own nail studio with just myself working, and then a few months after that I opened my nail salon. So that is a very shortened version of my nail journey. But throughout this whole process, I learned so many things about running a business, and I'm not saying that I am perfect or the way that I run my business is how you should, but everything in this video is just from my own experiences. I asked you guys to ask me questions on what you want to learn more, and I will do a little Q&A at the end of this video, but a lot of you guys were talking about pricing and you guys don't know how to price your own work. Now, it's a little tricky because, you know, New York City prices are probably not the same as other areas, so I can't really say this is a set price, but I would say do a lot of research and see what other nail techs that has the same clientele as you is charging. I think in this case, it's very important to be self-aware, and I think a lot of nail techs undercharge to get more clientele, even though their work is great. I understand, but it's a little frustrating because I think, like, girl, you can make so much more. People can charge whatever price they want, but I do think that it does get a little difficult to raise prices. So I would say when you're starting out, market it as a discounted price beforehand or post on your page, hey, this is a discounted price for your first 3 times, 4 times, or the first 6 months of me opening my studio. I think it's better to know where you're gonna stand in a few months or in a year so that you don't surprise everyone with a price increase all of a sudden, and which can make you lose customers. I think a great way is to start out with whatever price you think fits you, and then if you see that you're not really getting booked, then I think maybe the price is too expensive. Now, if you're getting so many bookings where you can't even keep up and build regular clients, I would say that you need to raise your prices. Now, client retention is also very important. As a shy person, I have trouble speaking to my clients, and this is something I struggle with always. I do talk to my clients when it's necessary. I really need to know that my client likes this color or this charm, because the last thing I want is for the client to later say, hey, you didn't ask for my opinion on this color and now I don't like it. So communication is so important when you're doing nails. That being said, talking to your clients, asking them how their day was, you know, building a connection with them, super super important. Now, gaining clientele is very hard. Honestly, especially now with so many nail techs out there and so many skilled nail techs, it's very hard to gain your own clientele. Taking good content of your nails, investing in good lighting, and investing in a high quality camera phone or camera, and putting your work out there. Nowadays, everyone is on social media, so you really need to know how to market yourself. For our salon, we did a lot of influencer marketing. We would invite influencers and give them free nails. We sometimes would even do free nail service to people on the streets because those videos would do well. I think also having your own niche really helps. Obviously, being good at everything is the best. For any type of business, you have to ask yourself, what makes me different than other competitors, other nail salons, other businesses? Do you have better quality nail supplies? Do you do better work? Do you have exclusive products? Having something that is different than other nail salons or other nail techs will really differentiate you, and it's so much easier to market yourself that way. Another thing that I've been seeing in my own salon is that a lot of nail techs, they come to me and they're like, oh, I actually don't really like doing simple designs like simple Frenches, chrome, like I don't like doing any of those designs, but people always come to me for it. I look at their Instagram page, I'm like, this is all you're posting. They will obviously come to you for that. If you want to market yourself as somebody that can do intricate nail art and you're good at it, you need to put those out there. Maybe you need to start posting less of the things that you don't really like to do and post more of what you like to do so that people that like your work will come and get the same designs. Okay, now I do get a lot of questions on how I handle no-shows and late clients. At my salon, we do have a very strict policy on no-shows and late clients. Unfortunately, people have emergencies all the time, and there's some times when people are not able to show up to their appointment. I think when you're an individual nail tech, maybe like if this client has been a long-term client, you can waive fees or be like, oh, don't be late next time. But I think in my case, when you own a salon, it's a very different case, especially in a very busy area like New York City, just because if you waive one person, you have to waive everyone. Let's say one person, you know, you waived for because she's been a client for you for a long time, and then there's this other person that this person knows, and this person, you know, they're gonna be late or do a no-show, and they're gonna be like, well, you waived this person, why can't you do it for me? And it's gonna go on and on and on and on and on, and there would be no point of a policy. So unfortunately, at my salon, we have to enforce our policies to every single client, but this is how we deal with situations like no-shows and late clients. Now I'm gonna answer some questions. By the way, thank you guys so much for asking all of these questions. I didn't know that you guys had questions like this. The best nail tips to put on. I don't think I've actually answered this question, like what gel X tips we use. We actually use the one from Après. I think Après ones are the best that I've ever used. Chrome isolation. I wouldn't say this is probably the best way, but how I do my chrome isolation is I use a matte top coat. I actually use this brand right here called Wave Gel. I use this matte top coat and I wipe it with alcohol once it's cured, and then I buff it, and then I draw whatever design with usually black gel polish, put on the chrome, dust it off, and usually it's all gone. Did you do some internships at nail studios in the beginning to gain some experience? For me, like I said, I just started off with doing nails for free. Working at nail studios for internships, I think that's a great idea, especially if they do have like an internship program where you can get hands-on experience. How to save time on nail designs? Oh, I think this is a great question because the nail design process does take a long time depending on the design, but I would say this is also something where you need a lot of practice. Once you're used to it, you kind of just do it without really thinking. For me, when I see a color of the inspo and I don't necessarily have a color like that, then I know like which colors to mix to get that color. What I like to do is I like to ask for the design before I get started with the nails, and I just take a quick look and then I think about the design while I'm doing the nail prep and application and all that, and like try to gather my thoughts on which color to get to bring out and what gems that I would need and all that. How am I gonna do this design? I just think about it first so that I don't have to think about it while I'm doing the design and waste my time. Okay, and that is it for this guide. Let me know if there's anything that I have not covered, and let me know if there's anything that you guys would want to see. And I really hope that this guide helped you guys, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!